Hello everybody, in today's lesson we're going to be explaining about the power rule. Now the power rule is an extremely important concept in when you're learning AP Calculus AB, since it is highly useful in finding out the derivatives of many different types of functions. Alright, so let's start by explaining what the general rule of the power rule is. So the power rule essentially, let's say a function is x to the nth power, right? Well, the power rule of the states that the derivative of this function will be n times x n minus 1 times f of x derivative. Now, right here, what you do is that you take the power, you move it up front, and then you subtract that by 1 for its exponent, and then you multiply this by the function derivative. Now, what is f of x derivative? It's not the same as this one, since you're what I should write it as to better understanding is d's of x over d's of x. So you're taking the derivative of the function, which is x, over the variable you want to take the derivative of, which is also x. So this one will just be equal to 1. So in this sense, you can ignore this one right here. But this only applies for functions that doesn't have trigonomical value, because let's say, for example, we have a function like f of x equals sine x. Now, well, what would the derivative of this be? So by just using power rule, it will be 1 times sine x to the power of 1 minus 1, which would be 0, and then anything to the power of 0 will just be 1, so this will be 1. Now, if you don't times it by the original function's derivative, you really won't get an answer, right? So you have to times this by sine of x's derivative, which is cosine of x. So the answer should be cosine of x. Oops, what happened? What happened here? So the answer should be just cosine of x. And that's how the power rule will work for trigonomic functions. So we're using the definition to its full extent, right? But another thing to note is that in this trigonomic function, the chain rule also applies in here, because if I write a function like something on the lines of this, let's see, it's like 2x cubed. If I write a function like this and you want to take the derivative of this function, well, we will take the derivative of sine 2x cubed would be just be cosine 2x cubed, and then we know that the derivative of sine 2x cubed by itself would just be 3 sine 2x to the power of 2, right? And then we also have to times the derivative of the inside function. Okay, so we also have to times the derivative of this function. Okay, so the 2x cubed derivative will just be 6x squared, right? Just following the definition of power rule. So now that we know all of this, we can essentially solve numerous different equations, no matter what it is. But when it's becoming exponential or logarithmic, things might change a tiny bit, and power rule won't really apply for that. But besides all of those functions, a power rule applies for essentially trigonomical and algebraic, all kinds of algebraic functions. Okay, hope you enjoyed this lesson.